Hello and welcome to the On the Slate movie podcast. We are your hosts, Wesley,
Jason,
and Asher.
And on the slate for today, we have the return of the news episode. We're going to be talking about some recent releases in the theaters. We're also going to be talking about some upcoming releases. We're also going to break down the new MCU teaser for Avengers Doomsday being in production. And then at the end, we're going to give you some of our recommendations from what we've been watching recently. Boys, let's hit it. Well, it's been a month or so, 2 months since we did a
we didn't do one all of
news
March.
release.
Yeah, because we did the Slaties instead of our news
Yeah,
episode.
the Slates.
And then back-to-back film reviews.
Film reviews. Yeah, so we did the Slaties last month, which was a lot of fun. That might be like my favorite in podcasts that we've done so
Indeed.
far.
It was so much fun.
So much fun. And thankfully, it was kind of slow for news anyway. So it's not like we missed that much. Yeah, but we're back. And we're here to, just kind of recap what's been going on. And getting it started is a doozy. But before we jump into our first recent release, we've got some special comments from special commenters. So
What? That
4
means
days ago,
that means people listen.
people do listen. Thank you.
That aren't us. Because I also comment.
Jason comments on like every video to boost the algorithm. I don't know if it's working yet, but you gotta keep at it. So a couple days ago from the time of this recording, Asher released a short about Jared Hess directing the Minecraft movie and its relationship with some of his previous movies. It was a great short. You should check it out. So we got a comment from NCL_2000. So thank you. And he said, I love Jared's work. Really looking forward to see more of his style and sense of humor in the world of Minecraft. Me too. I agree. I think if Minecraft is a good movie, I think it's going to be because what he can bring to the table. However, based on the trailer, I am not convinced that Minecraft is going to be a good movie. But
Maybe they're saving a lot for the movie because, at least for me, some of the comedic hits in the trailers hasn't really felt like Jared Hess-ish comedy. So it's interesting because I know also he wasn't a part of the writing. And
was he part of the writing like for Nacho Libre and all of that?
I think so because I think it was him, his wife, and Mike White. Mike White.
Mike White.
I
remember us talking about that.
Yeah. So him, his wife, and Mike White, I think, were the main trio for writing Nacho Libre.
Yeah. And we'll talk about Minecraft more here in a few minutes, too.
Yeah.
So,
but thank you, NCL, right? NCL_2000.
_2000.
Thanks for commenting.
Right. And we also had our last podcast that released, at the time that this is out, it would be 2 podcasts ago. In the Nacho Libre episode, which was a lot of fun.
It was fantastic.
Which is, I hope, will remain the longest deep dive of Nacho Libre in existence of humanity.
Let it go down in history. Let it be known.
We have our friend Avery Coral, who is a friend of ours personally, but he commented this. We were talking about joining the cult of, what was it?
The cult following of Nacho Libre.
Oh, we were talking about how Nacho Libre has a cult following of fans. And so this is what Avery said. Gotta love that. Jason will join a cult on the promise of baby blue robes and baby seal blue boots. That's a pretty low barrier to entry. So,
I mean,
that's like,
is it that low of a barrier? You have to kill baby seals for me to come in. To make my baby seal skin leather boots.
And don't forget, you have to start with the brown robes first, though. You have to work your way up.
Maybe I should mention that I'm quoting Megamind. I'm not like,
are you actually quoting Megamind?
Yeah, because at the beginning of the movie, he's like, my baby seal skin leather boots. And so that's what I was quoting. But I don't actually like own or condone the.
leave it to Jason to quote Megamind. By the way, that's a movie that I think everybody saw when it came out and then forgot about it.
It is a good movie. Maybe we'll talk about it one day.
Maybe we will.
It's really
Maybe
funny.
that'll be on the. It's pretty low down the priority.
Jonah
list.
Hill voices a news cameraman who turns into a superhero.
Yeah,
some funny stuff.
He's
in
like the. Well, I don't want to spoil it. Well, it's been out for a long time. But
It's like almost 15 years old.
we don't want to spoil a DreamWorks Megamind.
anyway, it also has Brad Pitt, who plays like the Superman guy.
He's barely in the movie.
Brad Pitt plays him.
Yeah, he plays Metro Man.
Metro Man. And yeah, so
Metro.
anyway. So thank you.
Not the producer tag.
Oh man. So thank you for your comments, NCL 2000 and Avery Coral. Shout out to you guys.
We will find you.
If you leave a comment that we think is good and worth talking about, or just maybe just a comment in general.
Or if it's bad enough, we might say it too.
Yeah. If it's bad, it might be infamous. We'll read it.
We did get a comment on the Nacho Libre short. We were praising Jack Black, and somebody's like upset that we were criticizing him.
Yeah, that's the danger of having a short where you're missing context. But
I just thought that was funny. I was like, oh, we were actually like praising Jack Black.
wow,
We
they
were
think
saying
we're
nice
Nacho
things.
Libre haters, bro. We're not.
We were lovers. We're part of the cult.
We are cult members.
You see my robes? I'm a part of the cult.
You see my baby blue robes? I'm a higher tier coach.
And you also start with the sandals too, before the boots. Nacho's sandals with the brown
true.
robes.
Sandals in the brown robes.
My gosh. Jason. Oh man.
what
I just like how that comment was directed at you and just like Jason's barrier of entry is.
I mean, that's what I said. I was like, I'll join your cult if I can. I'm not going to quote myself. Go watch the
Jason
episode.
quotes
Go watch the
himself.
episode. or the accompanying short.
Jason wakes up, prepares for his day, looks in the mirror and quotes himself, and then is ready to walk out the door.
Exactly.
I have to get all my best hits in.
All right. Well, let's get this thing started. So you may have known that this movie, Snow White, has been just run into the ground years before it even came out. But it finally came out, and it has not been it's not been pretty. So yeah, let's talk about it. So I'll just read off the critic reviews and IMDb score first. Anyone want to guess what the IMDb fan score for Snow White is?
4.8.
I'm going to say 3.5. Wow.
Is it worse than that?
It's
2.8?
it's lower. It's 1.5.
One.
Right now, as of
How many reviews?
what is today?
Whoa.
March 28th. It's 1.5.
Wow.
That's
How many reviews? I'm not totally sure how many people have reviewed it.
still, that's just, I don't, I mean,
I
I
can
don't
look
think
that up here.
I don't think I've ever seen a movie get a 1 on IMDb.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be on the list of like the top 10 worst movies ever.
Whoa.
And the Metascore is actually 50, which is
Okay.
not the worst you'll ever see. So I guess
Right.
the critics are higher on it. Oh, how many votes did it have? It had, oh my gosh, it's 222,000.
Okay, so it's not like a,
So
That's the IMDb one?
yes, the IMDb fan score, over 200,000 people have voted.
and it's
And
averaged
it's
1 star.
1.5, and it's gone down. It started at like a 2 point something, like last week when it came out. And
That's
now
ridiculous.
It keeps going down. So I think there are a few reasons why. So first, IMDb, it's not a perfect rating system, and I think a lot of people will review bomb things. So like they intentionally put ones and ones and ones and ones because they don't like a narrative around it or this and that. We're not going to get into like
But even review bombed
all of
films,
that, but-
they're like at a 5 or a 4.
yeah, like yeah.
you know,
And Snow White is I think that part of it is it's being review bombed. If I watched it, I haven't seen it yet. Y'all haven't seen it either.
I haven't.
I've seen the original.
I'm choosing probably not to see it. I'm not interested.
Yeah, I mean it's
Even
not,
if it were really good, I don't support live action remakes of anime.
yeah.
Sorry, what was that? One more time?
I don't support live action remakes of animated movies.
I thought you were about to say I don't support something else, but anyway, at least you guys have like somewhat legitimate reasons not to watch it. There's this whole concept of like review bombing something without seeing the movie, and I think that Snow White is a victim of that. However, I'm not saying like, oh, it's actually secretly good. I haven't seen it yet. I can't speak to the quality of the movie. From a lot of the reviews I've seen, it's like not very respectful to the source material, the original film. Whether you think that's the original one is outdated in terms of like societal morals or whatever, or you don't think that it doesn't really honor the original. Well, that's just what I've heard. Obviously, I'm not going to say I've seen it. I don't think that if I went to see it, I'd give it a 1.5 out of 10. I probably would give it a little higher than that, but again, I haven't seen it. So yeah, but this movie was destined for this years ago. Like,
was it in just a bunch of production delays?
Yeah, and
a lot of reshoots.
Which is like the standard for Disney nowadays. I think a big thing was the original design of the Seven Dwarves. People didn't really like it because it seemed really cheap and low production.
It still looked cheap, at least in the trailers.
I saw a glimpse of them like dancing in a trailer.
It is.
And my first response was not a response of joy.
I like the synchronization there. It was not joyful for me either. They chose to do them all CGI, which I honestly don't hate that idea. In the trailers, from what I've seen, it doesn't look very good. But at the same time, like, I mean, I guess you could do worse. But
can you?
I mean,
can you do worse than that? That was pretty. I mean, they were. I don't know what it looks like. Obviously the trailers might look a little different. But I mean, that was like bad looking.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like
it's not even.
It's a heavy undertaking to do. It's a very difficult for them to basically have fully CGI characters in like all these scenes. It's a really difficult thing to accomplish. So it's probably not going to look perfect, and it's going to cost a lot of money. And,
yeah.
Again, it's like you're doing things you don't need. There's an animated version of this movie that still looks great.
And also, too, I'm wondering what made them decide to make the dwarves all CGI instead of actually hiring actors who are the height of the dwarves,
Yeah. I mean, there was a
like
debate about should they hire like dwarf actors, or I think that's the way you say it, is a dwarf. Little people. I don't know what the politically.
Well, Peter Dinklage came out recently, and maybe I'm not saying this is like
he could have been great for a group.
Well, he actually
he's actually came out as like, you need to hire shorter folk for regular roles, like not just like, oh, you're short, so you get to be the short person. You get to be a dwarf in a fantasy.
Well, I understand that.
No, I'm not saying I agree 100% with that, but like my point is, and I don't know if this really influenced Disney's decision making, but I think that's definitely a part of it, right?
I mean, I understand that, but also at the same time, since they do have that height available, I'm just wondering how more effective would it have been to have real people for those roles instead of complete CG characters.
Yeah, now obviously, like I can't speak on behalf of anybody, but I do like me personally. I'm like, it's just more opportunities. I think, right? Mm-hmm. I'd imagine.
Yeah.
To like if you're gonna play a fantasy setting where they're dwarves, hire real people.
Yeah.
To do it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like, I don't know, make money with any way you can.
Yeah. I mean, now you brought up Peter Dinklage, and I'm just thinking whether or not he wanted to be a part of it. He could have been a great grumpy or someone,
Yeah. I think he would be pretty good.
He plays a goat in Wicked.
That's right.
So I don't know. Anyway.
Again, I imagine him in a goat costume, not voicing a goat.
No, he was a CGI goat. To voice a goat. That was funny. Yeah, so it had a budget of about $250 million. Which, that's a lot of money.
Gravy.
That's like a Marvel. That's like an MCU.
You know what I could do with $250 million?
Buy some blue robes.
You could. Yes. Could do that.
One set for every day of the year.
Yes.
and just like one set every day of my life. Probably.
Or you can make 5 like mid-budget movies that are way better. You could do that too.
Wait,
There you go.
250 million.
Maybe like 50.
Is my math dumb? Could I make $250 $10 million?
Math itself cannot be dumb, Jason. Just
But is
saying.
my version of math dumb?
I was implying that 5 movies for $50 million budgets each with that money. But Disney.
Would it be 25 $10 million movies?
No, I said 50.
No, I'm saying I know what you said, but because like The Brutalist was like what $10 million or something.
Oh yeah.
It might have been less. Godzilla -1 was $10 million. How many $10 million movies can I make with 250 million? Is it 25?
$10 million.
It's not 200.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 25, right? Not 250 movies.
It's
Right?
25.
25 movies.
So anyway. Let's just
I just chilled for a second while y'all mathed it out.
let's just get back to the movies. So here's a fact. This is the second worst opening weekend for a movie that had a budget for $250 million or more. It opened to $44 million.
Was the first one Morbius?
Maybe domestically, $44 million. Through about a week, at the moment of this recording, it has $94.7 million worldwide off a budget of $250 million. You got to think they probably dropped another $200 million just for like marketing and everything.
Did they? Because I saw zero marketing for them.
This was a massive monetary investment for Disney.
What was number one?
Do you guys want to guess?
Is it Morbius?
No, I don't.
How
think Morbius
recent?
cost
How
that much.
recent is the number one movie?
15-ish years.
Oh,
You guys are gonna guess it.
I am. We are.
You aren't.
Oh, we aren't.
Just give it a shot.
Give me. Is it animated?
No, it's a live action movie. It's not a pre-existing IP, but it was a random
this is
Disney
gonna be hard.
movie.
A random Disney movie.
It was a Disney movie.
Mirror, Mirror.
Is it that one?
Enchanted.
Yeah.
Not Enchanted.
It's that one I think actually kind of did well, and
It's about the main character is a man who is like.
Is it The Rock?
No, it's okay. It's John Carter.
Oh, yeah.
So John Carter had
Dude, I forgot that was even a Disney movie.
I actually kind of enjoyed that movie when it came out. I thought the set design, the production design was kind of cool.
I can't
Set on
remember
Mars.
what movie. It opened the same day. Oh, it opened the same day as a Hunger Games movie.
John Carter.
Yeah.
Oh,
They were so
that's-
dumb. They released it. That was before, like, it was not like a Barbenheimer thing. It was like a Hunger Games thing. It made $30 million its opening weekend off of $250 million budget. To this day, it's one of the worst box office flops ever. So the next movie right below John Carter is Snow White. 2025.
Both Disney movies. Way to go,
There's
Disney.
a lot of Disney on that list. That doesn't mean that it's ruined because Mufasa also had a similar problem.
But then it stuck around.
But Mufasa had some legs at the box office and stuck around.
I don't think this movie will.
But just with
Had some lion legs.
Snow White is not as prime of like a IP that like Lion King is.
That's another thing. I'm like,
And-
why pick Snow White out of all? It's not of it. Like, do like there's Cinderella.
Well,
You know, if
they
you're gonna do
started
live
the live
action
action remakes with Cinderella, right? I think Cinderella was their first live action
Was it
remake.
Cinderella?
No, I thought
Yeah.
the first one was Beauty and the Beast.
No, Cinderella came out
Beast,
before
Cinderella,
Beauty and the Beast.
Aladdin.
There's a live action
Little
Cinderella.
Mermaid.
Yeah.
Am I slow?
No.
It has Lily James and what's the guy? Rob Stark from Game of Thrones.
I've never seen
I
that
forget his
show.
name. But anyway, yeah, so I don't think that Snow White is going to have the same legs based off of its critical reviews, based off of its
2 versus
fan
4.
reception. It's a very divisive movie, obviously. It stems from interviews years ago from Rachel Zegler, who plays Snow White, just saying things that people thought like disrespected this, the original movie. Anyway, Rachel Zegler, not the most popular actress out there right now in the public eye. I don't think we need to comment really here on whether we like her or not, but I think she's talented.
I know pretty much next to Zip.
She's been in some good movies. She was really good in the West Side Story remake. But yeah,
Oh, the one from like 2-ish years ago.
Yeah, from Steven Spielberg.
Yeah. Okay.
Steven
She was in the
Spielberg.
new Hunger Games, like prequel.
The Ballad or whatever.
Ballad of
Yeah, she was good in that. And also Gal Gadot, who played the evil witch queen.
Yeah, I saw that. Just being honest, I'm not bashing or anything. I wasn't a fan of her design. Like her character design. Like I saw her in a poster and I was just like, yeah, I don't really. And I was surprised that Gal Gadot played it. But I guess maybe that can speak to someone's ability to play different type of roles.
Yeah. But anyway, a historic disaster from Snow White. And Disney has had their fair share of disasters in the last several years. So this is definitely not good for them. Another Disney property that we made a deep dive episode about. Mm-hmm. We need to update Captain America, A Brave New World.
Yeah.
IMDb fan vote 5.9 out of 10 and critic 42. So it's actually lower in the critics than Snow White.
Wow.
And it has made $402.6 million worldwide.
What was its budget?
Budget was maybe like 200. Pretty standard, I think.
402.6 million worldwide.
When we see the budget for a movie, does that count the reshoots and the rewrites? Are they
Yeah,
that?
I mean, these are all estimations, but yeah, it had a budget of 180 million for Captain America: Brave New World. So that's actually a tad bit lower. I mean, that's still pretty big, but relatively for other MCU movies, that they kept the budget pretty low.
And assuming they spent another 150 on like marketing, so they profited.
I think, yeah. I mean, MCU movies always turn a profit.
Really?
Except for the Marvels. I don't think the Marvels turn a profit. But yeah, this one, I mean, has made over 400 million worldwide. You got to think that it's not going to be the biggest moneymaker ever, but at this point, they're probably turning in a profit. So, in terms of domestic gross in the history of the MCU, it is the 28th highest grossing MCU movie out of 35. So just below Thor: The Dark World and above Black Widow. So it did beat Black Widow, which was like barely in theaters, I think, because of the pandemic. But yeah, I mean, it's like below the middle of the pack in terms of money. But I mean, yeah, it's just that movie I don't think people were like super excited about outside of just brand loyalty. So
I wouldn't have gone if it wasn't for us.
Yeah, I mean, we committed to see it together, but yeah, I don't think all three of without the podcast, I don't know if all of us would have actually went to see it.
You know, fun fact, we made a whole episode about it.
Yeah, we did.
I think you already mentioned that.
I already mentioned that. So,
just got to remind the audience.
Mickey 17.
That's a movie.
Not Disney related, by the way.
Not Disney related. So this is a Bong Joon-ho film. So Bong Joon-ho is a South Korean filmmaker who made the Best Picture winning Parasite in 2019. And yeah, this movie had a lot of hype behind it because, yeah, Parasite is a beloved movie by critics and fans. I've seen it. I'm sorry, I feel like I have like an itch on my nose here. It's a really good movie. Really well made, well acted, well written, directed. So Mickey 17 comes out, a lot of hype. 7.0 IMDb, 72 Metacritic, so that's pretty good. It's not like the 99 on Metacritic that Parasite has, but yeah, I mean, me and Jason went to see it. This time I did not take Jason to see the movie. We went together because last time I said I took Jason to see a movie.
I paid for my ticket. I paid for my ticket this time. It wasn't my birthday.
It wasn't your birthday, anyway.
It wasn't my birthday, no.
My birthday's next month. So
Well,
you can.
by the time this comes out, your birthday will be this month.
Oh, true. My birthday is this month, so
Drop some happy birthdays
yeah, happy birthday
for anyone
to me
listening.
in the chat.
Wesley, yeah.
Wish them a bad birthday.
Asher's birthday was last month, and we didn't even shout him out. So happy late birthday.
It's okay, but thanks.
Anyway, 111 million worldwide. That was actually a high budget movie. They kind of committed a lot of money to that. Might not make a profit, unfortunately. But it's a good movie.
Art is not about the money, Wesley.
What was your thoughts on the movies? On the movie.
Robert Pattinson is great. He plays like, so it's a sci-fi concept where basically like Robert Pattinson plays this guy named Mickey who is essentially like a guinea pig. So it's the sci-fi concept. So they're exploring outer space. They're finding new planets. He's basically going on these planets and figuring out like what's dangerous about this. I think like 3 of his lives, like every time he dies, he comes back. They 3D print him or like biologically 3D print him essentially and like implant his memories back. So he essentially like 3 times he dies because he contracts like a virus on this planet. And he keeps doing it so they can get his blood to like formulate a cure,
a vaccine.
So it's basically his job is to be expendable, to like die for the betterment of like humanity
or the colony,
right?
But it's like outlawed on Earth, so that's why they're like in space because there's no there's no laws out there.
There's one time where they think he dies out on the snowy planet, but he actually survived. But they went ahead and like reprinted him. So there was 2 of them. So Mickey 17 is like the main. It's like the 17th version of him because he's died 16 times. And then Mickey 18 comes, and so they call him duplicates. So basically, Robert Pattinson is performing like 2 different roles, and it's really good. He does a really great job. Probably like I think his best career performance that I have personally seen. And who else is in it? Naomi Aki. Steven Yeun is in it.
I mean, he's barely in it, but yeah,
he's like
there.
the guy he's like that one side character that almost dies like 100 times, but he never does.
Mark Ruffalo's in it.
Mark Ruffalo is so good.
Who plays his wife?
Toni Collette.
Toni Collette. Dude, she's really good in Hereditary.
Yeah. It's a great cast, and I feel like Mark Ruffalo is a standout, although that's kind of like the same performance that he had in like Poor Things a few years ago. I doubt y'all have seen that. It was kind of, but no, it's probably best if you don't see it.
Mark Ruffalo's his humor in the movie is really funny.
Yeah, he's definitely ever since like Thor Ragnarok. He's just been doing like funny movies.
Every face he makes in the movie, he just like has a really good like expression every time something's happening on the screen. He's like, oh. He's just like, it's like a level of disgust that it's so funny.
And it's like the bad like British accent, but it's so funny. It's like this vague like British American accent. Yeah, I don't know. It's hilarious. Really good movie. I'd probably give it like 7.5, 8 out of 10. I think
I gave it a 7.5.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna stick by that.
Definitely the best movie I've seen so far this year. So
yeah, I've only seen 2. One of them being Captain America.
The next one I want to talk about though. It's called The Electric State, which I don't know if you've heard a lot of.
I've heard about
stuff.
it. Yeah. Saw the trailer for it. Was kind of interested in. I was kind of interested when I saw only a poster for it and saw that it was. Oh come on. Is it? It's by the Russo brothers, right?
Mm-hmm. It's by the Russo brothers.
Is it directed and written by them, or one or the other?
Yeah, I think so. And if you don't know who they are, they directed Captain America: Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, and then Endgame.
Their non-MCU movies haven't done well, right?
Well, they produced Everything Everywhere All at Once, which was a huge hit, like what Best Picture, smash hit from like A24. They produced that, but they didn't like write.
Well, how much credit do we want to give?
They're also behind Extraction, right?
Are they? I really like Extraction.
I want to say
they might be, but there's a couple of there's like an action film that had Tom Holland and
yeah, I forget what that's called, but he's like is he in the army or is that a different one?
There's a Tom Holland one, and it might also have
Are you talking about Chaos Walking?
Maybe.
What's the one with
Oh, so sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, Jason.
I mean, I can't remember. I can't think of what I'm trying to say.
Just save us right now.
So, according to Wikipedia, take that for what it is. Extraction was directed by Sam Hargrave, but written by Joe Russo.
So only
Okay, so
half
one of the Russos wrote.
Okay, so maybe my perception is a little skewed.
So
Whoa, but it's based on a graphic novel called See You Dad.
You guys laughed at me when I said everything's based on a book. And you're like, no, it's not, Jason.
But
I'm like 75% of them.
But Joe Russo and Anthony Russo are also credited to the graphic novel as well.
Oh, really?
That's interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, and Electric State has been not a success. 5.9 on IMDb, 29 Metacritic. This is a Netflix original.
Has
No
Millie
box office
Millie
numbers.
Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt, right?
And Stanley Tucci.
Oh, is he in it?
I love some Stanley Tucci.
I do
man.
too, but apparently this movie's terrible. I haven't seen it yet.
I do too.
I do
But
too, but this movie's terrible.
I don't know anything about this movie other than
I know
there's a state of electricity.
I know there's a Mr.
So-
Peanut, or what's the peanut brand?
Oh yeah, I've seen
yeah.
a picture. I'm like, what is that?
It's Mr. I don't think that's his name. It's
So
Mr. Peanut.
based on the trailer, I know as much as anyone else who has watched the trailer.
Riveting.
Probably. So basically, it looks like there are robots that have been made from a high-tech company
Five Nights at Freddy's.
that are used for like carrying out tactical missions and stuff and governmental issues, I think maybe. But there are also robots that are technically what seems like off the grid or just on their own. But then there's also humans. And so there's kind of like a mix of humans who think there's like good humans, bad humans, maybe good robots, bad robots. And so it seems like a humans and robots team up to fight other humans and robots.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
you would
concept.
think with that concept and with the name of the movie Electric State, at least for me, you would think it would be a very colorful movie. But I watched
very dull looking.
Yeah, I watched the trailer and it's very
Like
dull in the
dirty
color.
and
Yeah, I mean,
drab.
I don't think that the Russos, honestly, in my opinion, are like the best like visual directors. But I think that I think why the Avengers stuff was so good was because they understood the characters really well. They had like a good vision for a complicated franchise and to tie in. And but yeah, as far as like visual artistry, I guess is not really what they're known for. I mean, yes, a lot of the movies have a lot of CGI, but that's not. Part of that is the director, but a lot of that's just like visual effects artists too. So anyway, I don't know if I'm really going to watch it. After seeing 29 on Metacritic, I'm like, but you know, hey, we'll see.
I mean, it's on Netflix, right? So
It's on Netflix. I could watch it.
I think also Millie Bobby Brown's character is trying to find her brother too. So
Who's Chris Pratt? Is that it?
no, Chris. She just gets Chris Pratt to help her technically.
it's
Yeah.
like Fallout.
And Chris Pratt, it's very interesting. Like Millie Bobby Brown's character, Chris Pratt's character have this aesthetic to their character design where they look like they came out of an 80s rock band groupie pack and just like stayed with it. You know, like Chris Pratt's hair in part of the trailer is kind of like long and shaggy and he's got this like handlebar mustache or something like that. And I'm like, this is kind of a fun way to, you know, design a character for Chris Pratt, but it looks like they came from a rock
They
band
do, yeah.
groupie pack.
Oh, it's got Giancarlo Esposito. I bet he's a bad guy. I bet he plays a bad guy. So anyway,
Don't cry, robot. Don't cry, robot.
another movie that Asher brought up today actually
Yeah.
is called The Penguin Lessons. I don't know anything about this movie, so I'm going to have
Really?
you explain it. But before you talk about it, it has a 7.3 on IMDb, which is really good, and a 53 on Metacritic, which probably means it's a little divisive.
We saw the trailer together
Did we?
at Mickey 17.
They showed that before Mickey 17?
Did we?
Yeah,
I don't remember every trailer, bro. I see so many of them. I'm sorry.
it's about the guy he adopts. Maybe I'm wrong, right?
Well,
Yeah,
you,
he
you
adopts-
told me it had the guy from Night at Museum who was the short guy.
Yeah.
Steve,
He's the Roman.
Steve Coogan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He adopts the. Well, it's your movie, Al.
Well, it's not my movie. I didn't make it.
I think I vaguely remember the trailer.
Yeah, so Steve Coogan plays a teacher who goes to a boys-only school, and it's set in Argentina in the 1970s, 1976, I think. So he goes to the school, and there's like a school break, and so he goes and travels. And basically, from what the trailer said, he saves a penguin, maybe out of goodwill, but also I think to like impress a lady. And then thinking the lady would stick around, she ends up leaving. Like, you know, they met, they were friends, but then she's like, I gotta go. And then he's just like stuck with this penguin because this penguin wants to be with him now that it was saved by him. And so then he basically, quote unquote, smuggles it back to school. And I think from there, the trailer just kind of captures how the penguin ends up affecting the lives of those around it for the better, and how it's a way for people to come together. Is that, you think it's pretty accurate, Jason?
Yeah, like
Based off of what you saw?
it's like your classic take a crabby, jaded, older, not quite old, but like older gentleman, and give him a cool pet that melts his heart,
And everybody
and also
changes.
allows him to connect with children
Yeah.
in a wholesome
The
kind of way.
old yes, that trope of the old, like you said, crabby character, and then he finds a heart somewhere because of some sort of pet or child or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tried and true genre of film and
The
story.
Holdovers.
The Holdovers is so good, dude.
That's
this
what
is
that reminded
probably
me of.
this is probably a PG version of the Holdovers.
Yeah, the Holdovers just have some bad.
Well, it's not like it's not PG. It just has poor language, but
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing this movie. I watched the trailer. I didn't know it was a book because I think you brought that up, Wesley.
Oh, look, it's based on a book.
What are you trying to do here?
I'm just bothered.
That doesn't make your statement that everything is based off a book true.
It does help him
I'm sorry.
further, though.
I'm just really bothered by it, but it was clearly hyperbole. But you guys were like,
well, it clearly
"Not
wasn't
every
because we
single
didn't think it
movie."
was. It's only clearly hyperbole if we clearly understand that it was hyperbole, and we didn't. So.
Why would I mean that literally? We can move on. I'm sorry.
Anyways,
We're getting off the rails. today.
I thought it was really heartwarming of a trailer, and the cinematography looked really good. The storytelling looked good. The chemistry between the actors looked good. I enjoyed seeing Steve Coogan's portrayal of this character. There was just something that seemed kind of almost witty, like about the comedy too, as well. And so,
Yeah.
I told my wife Lourdes, I was like, this would be a fun movie to see, like a fun like date night movie. Seems very heartwarming, funny in a meaningful way. So, yeah, not sure if I would go see it in theaters, because there's that thought you have sometimes, at least me, where you wonder, should this be a movie I pay to see in theaters, or should I wait and see it at home or something, you know? But either way, I'm excited to see it.
Well,
You should always go to theaters. And
Well, let
support
me
theaters.
put it like this.
But
Well, I do want to support, but in terms of financially for our sides, like what do we choose
also,
to pay
do I
for?
want to drop $50 just to see a movie for an hour and a half?
What are you doing that costs $50?
Well, I don't know. You get concessions for you and your partner that you're going with.
Oh, true. I'm thinking as a
I had a $50
Individual.
gift card to AMC back in Texas before we moved here, and we went to see Puss in Boots,
The Last
The
Wish.
Last Wish. By the way, really good movie.
So good.
Aside from that, we still paid out of pocket
Really?
plus our $50 gift card for two of us.
Really? And is this is in a major city?
It was in Austin.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's probably
Because my friend,
big money price.
shout out to
I think we got a little bit of concessions though, not a lot. I think Laura's got some popcorn maybe or something, maybe a drink too.
my friend. Shout out to Caden, who lives in
Caden.
Texas. He lives in a smaller part of Texas, so
Where at?
it's like west of Fort Mill. Not Fort Mill.
Fort Worth?
Fort Worth.
Okay.
Fort Mill's a place in South Carolina.
Yep. I used to live there.
You used to live in Fort Mill? Mm-hmm. Cool.
I used to live in Fort Worth too.
We talked about this. Anyways, he tells me every time he brings up a movie ticket, I'm jealous because it's always way cheaper than it is here in our part of the state, at least. So I'm surprised. I mean, it makes sense. I think the bigger cities just, well, of course, they charge more. Mm-hmm. But like, they're like $8 for a standard ticket. What? Yeah. And I'm like, bro. He's always like, it's not really worth it when I can just like stream it or something. And I'm like, I'm exaggerating a little. He does appreciate seeing stuff in movies, so don't get mad at me if you listen to this. But my point is like, you have it way better. It's like $19 for an IMAX here. Over there, it's like $13.
Well, the next one.
It's like
We're gonna get through the show.
So how do we segue that?
I don't know how to segue that. So the last one for upcoming releases is actually not a movie technically. It's a show that's being shown in theaters.
What?
Have you guys seen The Chosen?
Oh, yes.
Most of the first season. That's it.
So The Chosen, if you don't know, it's a multi-season television series. It's starting season 5 in theaters. It's about the life of Jesus and his disciples, his 12 disciples, plus a few other characters as well. And it's been a worldwide sensation. It started as completely crowdfunded, and it like not only reached its crowdfunding in like a matter of days, but like exceeded it like by a good portion. It used to be an Angel Studios thing, but they're not with Angel Studios anymore. They have their own production company now.
Oh, wow. Just for The Chosen?
There was actually kind of a bit of a legal battle that happened last year because, but The Chosen, I think, won the legal battle. So anyway, I don't know all the
I'm
details.
interested to hear more.
But
if you don't know the official details.
Yeah, so basically, I don't know all the details. Like, nobody knows all the details except for the
I imagine it had something to do with the creators claiming ownership over the rights or something.
Yeah, so The Chosen, The Chosen Inc. so The Chosen Inc. is like its own brand, like its own LLC or whatever you call it.
Cool, I didn't know that.
For-profit company. That's what LLC, right? I got that right.
Well, it means limited liability corporation, but that is
for-profit.
Yeah, they're their own for-profit company, whatever the acronym is.
there's
Angel Studios is like a production company. So, yeah, production companies produce movies. They provide the funding. They hire people, right? So Angel Studios actually really didn't do that stuff. They just kind of were like a big name to slap on it to like help.
So they weren't even
The Chosen.
They weren't even funding it at all?
No, it was completely crowdfunded. Angel Studios didn't give them a dime.
Did they provide the avenue for them to crowdfund though? Because I know Angel Studios has a pretty.
They probably
decent...
also got. They probably got it into the theaters too.
Yeah, I think. Well, it used to be Fathom Events when they've done like they did season 4 and I think season 3 as well in theaters, but season 5 is not going to be a Fathom event.
It's going to be.
It's a full on theatrical release. So they actually are partnered with Lionsgate, which you probably heard of Lionsgate. All they do is distribute the show.
Yeah.
It's been on the CW. I think in June it's going to come out on Amazon Prime, but for now it is going to be released in theaters. I think they're going to release like 2 or 3 episodes every few weeks
in one like sitting, I guess.
Yeah, so I think so you'll like watch 2 or 3 episodes and you'll be there 2-3 hours.
Probably about the length of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What a way to do things. I like it. It's very novel.
So, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
That would be fun to do more of for shows.
Yeah, and
I'd like a 3-episode premiere or something.
Bring them to the big screen.
Yeah, so it isn't, and it's not a Fathom event either. So that means my AMC subscription covers it. Last time I had to pay to do it, but this time I don't. So that's exciting.
Nice.
Well, I'd pay $20 a month to not pay to see this, so I technically do pay for it. But anyway, I really like The Chosen. I think it's a really good show, and
I can tell you're a fan.
I think. Oh yeah, I'm a fan. I think that it's Jonathan Rumi plays Jesus, and doesn't matter like what your religious belief, like you can probably imagine like playing Jesus is like a very high pressure thing because like billions of people in the world are Christian and like have expectations for like who Jesus is.
Yeah.
So, but I think he does a really good job. And when you think of Jesus, you think of like God, but you also think of like a man, right? So, and there's all the complexities in that. But I think the show, like overall, I think when it's at its best, it's like really, really good. I don't think it's like super consistent, like scene to scene. I think some scenes, like the dialogue is a little corny and cheesy. Like, I mean, you see that with a lot of long form television anyway, but it has decently good production value as well. Like the sets are all authentic. There's, pretty much what you'd expect, but I think even a little bit better from a TV show. Like a Christian art on film is just traditionally doesn't have the greatest track record.
Very hit or miss, mostly miss.
As far as at least like production value, so like how the film looks, like how it's produced. The Chosen is produced remarkably well. And yeah, probably the best Christian movie / show in terms of production value I've seen, other than like Passion of the Christ, which I think, that's a Mel Gibson project. So that has,
I think Bonhoeffer had pretty good production.
I was about to bring up Bonhoeffer too.
And I think there are companies like Angel Studios, which is technically Mormon, but they do a lot of just like evangelical Christian stuff, like Bonhoeffer, which, anyway. So I really recommend it. It's, if I understand why it could bother people, because there are some characters in the show, 2 in particular, that are like actually not in the Bible. There are some other ones too or 2 that are not actually in the Bible that do play pretty significant roles. Not like they're the main characters, but they're like they're like walking with Jesus. But I think what these extra characters and like these storylines that are kind of made up, right? Like each of the 12 disciples, if you actually read the Bible, there are some like James the Lesser or like Simon the Zealot, where it like literally mentions them maybe twice. And it doesn't mention like anything that they say. So like obviously they're making up storylines to go along with these. But what I think these additions do is help give context to a lot of like the scriptural teachings. They give you like a hypothetical context for like why Jesus would be saying things. And I think that the storylines that they come up with are actually really entertaining, really heartwarming. And also the show has never claimed to be the word of God, right? It's like, it's honestly, it's historical fiction. Like I think is a good way to look at it. Like, yes, I can be inspired by this and see this dramatization of events that happen in the Bible, but also know that it's not going to be a one-to-one adaptation. There are going to be some things that you don't see in the Bible. You're going to see things in the Bible, or like, I guess, timelines of events that are kind of like condensed for the sake of like a screenplay, So I would wholeheartedly recommend it, but I understand like if you are not a fan of that, like if you want like a literal word for word adaptation and that's your expectation for a TV show about Jesus, you're probably not going to like The Chosen. But if you're just open to like good storytelling, fun characters, and the center event of Christianity like being portrayed in a dramatized way, I think you'll like it. What were you gonna say, Jason?
I was just gonna say, like, I think there's 100% a place for that kind of like media regarding the Bible. Like, it's important to stress like this is not scripture, right?
Yeah.
But it can be heavily inspired by scriptures. And I was thinking, there's these 2 books or little novels or however you want to look at them.
Yeah.
Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained, which is about like original sin. The first Paradise Lost is about original sin, and then Paradise Regained is about Jesus's 40 days.
Yeah.
And it's obviously like none of these conversations are in the Bible.
Yeah.
Or they're like very briefly like mentioned, particularly the ones of Jesus with the devil, right? So Paradise Regained is like, what if they did talk? And obviously you're inferring heavily. So it's not like this is definitely what Jesus would have said to the devil right here. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's a really interesting, I guess, like almost like thing to, I guess, think about, like, what was it really like in those 40s? So I can see why like The Chosen is like, we're going to elaborate a little bit or a lot of it, however, on these events. It's like there's like, there's certain things like the Sermon on the Mount, right? Like it's really kind of short in the Bible. It's not the longest thing in the world compared to the Bible itself.
Yeah.
Right. So
Sermon on the Mount scene in The Chosen, by the way, really good.
Which I imagine they add a lot more, probably like things going on, because obviously the Sermon on the Mount you have Jesus talking. Mm-hmm. I imagine they add a lot more. I haven't seen it, but I imagine they add a lot more. Like you have crowd reactions, people saying things, and stuff. You know what I mean? Like elaborating on.
Yeah, and like for instance, like this. If you're familiar with the Bible story, like the centurion who comes to Jesus and says, "Can you heal my son?" It's like, I have these men that follow me. I tell them what to do, and they do it. And Jesus is like impressed by him. He's like, I admire your faith, and he like heals his son. So that guy who's in like, I think in Luke and one other gospel for like a couple verses in each, he has like his own like 3-4 season arc, so they're going to expand on certain characters.
That's kind of cool.
So, and I think this speaks to something about like religious art in general, like Christian movies. A lot of times when believers view it a lot differently than non-believers.
Yeah.
So if you're going to watch a Christian movie and you're a Christian, you're going to like connect a lot more with the themes. Whereas if you're not a believer, you're going to probably think like, well, I don't really believe in that. So like the core of what you're telling me isn't connecting. So therefore, like, I'm going to like view this more critically, based off of just its storytelling and messaging alone. And I think there's a big divide. Like you see movies like Passion of the Christ, for instance, that are, well, like every Christian I've ever met has said that's like one of the most powerful artistic experiences they've ever had. Whereas like non-believers, like, well, it's, it's just overly bloody, I can't really connect with like what Jesus is doing. Right. So there's a disconnect. And I think what The Chosen does really well is I think you can enjoy it if you are a believer or not a believer. And I think the reason why there's a disconnect is because the core, like, central theme of Christianity, right, is the gospel, right? So it's like Jesus died and he rose from the grave. And that is a very specific thing that you have to believe in, or like you're not Christian, right? So but there are other themes in the Bible underneath that, like let's say the golden rule, for example. So like, do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. You don't have to be a believer to connect with that necessarily, right? Like, oh yeah, that's just like treat people with respect, like just as you would want to be treated. That's just like a universal thing that a lot of people will adopt, right? It came from the Bible, obviously, but other people will adopt it. Or just things like do not murder, right? These basic things. So there are some themes in the Bible that people can connect with, but they're not going to connect with the central thing, right? So I think that's why non-believers like to, like, if they make a movie and like have a Christ-like figure, like we've seen it in Man of Steel, we've seen it in Tron, or like The Matrix. Those aren't actually Christian movies because they're not actually like, at the core of it, it's not like the gospel, right? It's just like an adaptation of some Christian themes, but it's not really like a Christian movie. So I think that The Chosen is a good way to like have the core gospel in it, but also it to be like palatable to people that don't believe, which is interesting. I've never seen that in Christian art. So I think this is something that all sides are going to be able to get behind. So we'll see how the show ends though. We're in season 5, maybe it's a different tune, but anyway, I hope like all
is season 5 the last season? Is that like,
no, so it's gonna be 7 seasons.
Oh,
so this is season 5. This is called The Chosen, The Last Supper.
They're building up to.
Yeah.
So they're on the Last Supper, but there's 2 more seasons?
Yes. So that's the thing. Is it going to be drawn
Oh, they're
out?
probably going to cover like Acts maybe.
Well, I don't know. So season 6 is supposedly going to be the like crucifixion. The whole season is going to be about the crucifixion. And then the whole 7th season is going to be about the resurrection. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. The first 4 seasons I really, really enjoyed. I'm excited about the 5th. And by the way, the ones coming out in theaters is only the 5th season. So if you haven't seen the first 4, you might not want to go see this unless you've seen the first 4 seasons, because you're probably going to be missing a lot.
I've already read the book.
Context.
Hey, another thing based on a book.
Exactly. That one is based off of multiple books compiled into one big book. Yes. So
Jesus brings out a whip and flips some tables in this season.
yes, exactly. So
I'm interested to see how that scene is acted and depicted, because that's a pretty, crazy thing to read in the Bible.
It's a point of discussion amongst believers. Like what does that mean for us as believers that Jesus did that?
So yeah, like no,
I'm not going to get into it here, but
so I'm interested to see how The Chosen handles this because, yeah, I mean, this isn't a theological podcast.
There are a couple of ways to look at it, right?
Well, I mean,
the main actor Jonathan Brumi is a Catholic, and the writer-director, you're a Catholic?
I said I'm not Catholic, but I'm glad he's a believer.
Oh, okay. I was like, when did you convert to Catholicism? Not that I don't. Anyway, and the writer-director of the show, Dallas Jenkins, is like a Protestant, so we'll see how that happens. But
I'm just interested to see his performance of, the anger and frustration that Jesus actually experienced because of what the house of worship was turned into. And the
trailer has the scene of him flipping tables with the whip. So
I saw that, but I feel like they should have saved that. I think maybe they could have had a few shots of him getting not flustered, but getting angry, and maybe keep the shot of him getting the whip out of his backpack, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then give you some more build up to want to go see it. Because that's like, when he pulled the whip out of the backpack and they cut away, I was like, okay, smart. Like, don't show anymore. But then they showed some stuff. I was like, no, stop it. Like, save it for the actual like reveal of that scene. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm.
They had the Johnny Cash song playing too. They try to make him seem like he's like some kind of superhero. Which, I mean, hey,
Jesus is the ultimate superhero.
Yeah.
He rides a cloud.
Yeah, I hope.
What? Rides a cloud.
He rides a cloud.
I hope it's good. He does ride a cloud. Hope it's good as a Christian myself. But
does he ride? Are you talking about Revelation?
And in
Matthew,
and in the Gospels, he comes down on a cloud.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So let's talk about some upcoming releases. Real quick.
Movie.
So there's only really 3 ones in April that looked interesting to talk about. So the first one, Minecraft, obviously we've talked about that. Bits and pieces.
A Minecraft movie.
Minecraft.
Jared Hess, the director of Minecraft, in a behind the scenes 3-minute video that they released, made it very clear that there's a reason it's called a Minecraft movie and not the Minecraft movie. And my assumption was, it seems that he's hinting at more stories and more movies to come, maybe.
The new MCU.
The Minecraft cinematic universe.
I don't think I'm gonna be that excited for that, but would that rank above or below the Transformers G.I. Joe MCU? Probably below, honestly. I would rather.
Transformers G.I. Joe sounds actually really cool.
If they actually gave us a movie, I'd be like 100% down.
They dropped that, and then literally we've heard nothing since.
And make it animated, like
Transformers 1.
Give us some cool G.I. Joe action scenes that are animated.
Yeah,
lean into.
Although I do like the Channing Tatum.
I just don't know if like the young generation that is just like even cares about G.I. Joe.
Dude, you just show me ninjas, one's in a black suit, one's in a white suit.
There's something just universally
and they fight, and it's like, ninjas. Dude, go ninjas, go.
There is something universally appealing.
Was
about
that a Vanilla
ninjas,
Ice reference?
No.
You know, Vanilla Ice made a song "Go Ninja Go" when one of the original TMNT movies came out in the 90s.
Really?
It was the second.
I bet I've heard it.
It was the second TMNT movie that came out, and they're fighting those two monsters, and they bust into a party, and Vanilla Ice is performing on stage at this party, and they start singing the song "Go Ninja Go," and like the turtles start dancing like in a choreographed scene, but then they go back to fighting. It is some of the funnest.
We gotta look this up.
It is some of the funnest like 90s movie goodness, I guess. I don't know what to say. It
Go
was
ninja,
fun.
Go,
How
go
he's-
ninja, go ninja, go. I'm just proud.
yeah, that's it.
Is that how it goes?
It's like, go ninja, go ninja, go. Go
Maybe this is
ninja,
just
go
in the
ninja,
dark
go.
depths of my memory.
I was gonna say I'm sure I've heard it. I just don't.
That was a
it's
core
not-
memory
It
that
wouldn't
just
click.
got pulled
It's
out.
actually a pretty good song.
Well, Vanilla Ice is actually like, he's like stole music from what is it, David Bowie.
All
for-
music is stolen.
Well, there's a difference between sampling and just straight up ripping.
Just like all movies are based off a book.
Well, it was a big thing where he for Ice Ice Baby, where it's just under pressure.
That
sure. They do sound similar. Yeah.
That-
Similar, they're the exact same.
Doom, ba-da-doom, ba-da-doo-doom.
It's not even. It's the same.
Doom.
It's not a sample. It's just the song.
that took me some time to figure out. I was like, wait a second.
Well, because of my age, I guess I was more familiar with the Vanilla Ice song. So when I would hear that,
Yeah.
I would go Ice Ice Baby, or however it goes.
You know what would be Ice Ice Baby? If we got back on track here.
I was just expressing my love of Snake Eyes.
I mean,
okay?
I appreciate it. Snake Eyes.
I did get us further
It was movie.
You know,
away from
it's
the main
okay.
agenda by bringing up 90s TMNT.
That'll be
You're the one who brought
our
up
second
G.I.
channel
Joe.
will be
You're-
90s.
You're the one who
music.
brought up G.I. Joe.
I did. You're
I
right.
just like
this all started with me.
I
so
like Snake
I'm sorry,
Eyes. He's got a
everybody.
sword.
I'm apologizing. I got a sword.
He doesn't talk. He's really cool.
Ninja sword, cool. Well, there's a movie about a guy that beats the bad guys without swords, and this is called The Amateur. It's coming out with Rami Malek, and he beats people with science or something. Or
He vibrates glass.
He's like, I guess like a guy that's like a good like engineer nerd guy, like the guy in the chair. And his wife gets killed
The
or
guy in
something.
the chair.
So he's like
getting
John
out of
Wick,
his
but
chair.
without throwing punches. He's like manipulating wires and exploding things. So
And he's new at it.
He's new.
because isn't it
that's why he's called
the
The
idea?
Amateur.
Yeah, isn't it the idea where we're not?
He meets
And
Lawrence Fishburne, and Lawrence Fishburne's like, "You could never,
the same movie as John Wick.
you could never kill a man." And then Rami Malek's like, "Maybe I can."
but with an explosion.
See, I don't actually have to kill them. My bomb does it.
He's like your D&D character with like really low strength, but he's got like 20 intelligence. That's him.
I cast fireball.
He doesn't cat. Well, yeah, he does. Yeah, many of them. Anyway,
They revealed two of the kills in the trailer, so it's like,
both were
the fun's-
exploding.
well, no, one was the dude's like on a glass bridge.
There was lots of chaos, and it kind of seemed like an explosion, but technically it wasn't.
He's like in a pool that's suspended, and he breaks
yeah.
the pool, and then he blows up this other guy in a bit. My point is like that's like half the movie, I think, right? Already. And I was like, well, that's in the trailer.
Well,
Isn't the fun the anyways?
The reveals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
yeah, maybe hopefully there's more cool kills that were not in there. In the trailer.
Violence. I like great violence.
A movie with a lot of violence that's being re-released into theaters. I'm getting so good at my segues. I recovered after the bad one earlier where I just didn't have one. This time, Revenge of the Sith is coming out in theaters. 20 years since that movie came out.
Wesley, you want to tell the public about your feelings, your controversial feelings?
I think that Revenge of the Sith is a movie that I mildly enjoy, but overall think
Mildly
has a lot
enjoy.
of problems.
mildly enjoy.
See,
You can't even greatly enjoy it. You
this
have to mildly
this
enjoy
surprised me when I found this out right before we started recording, but I am actually really interested to hear your thoughts on what problems there are. So whenever that conversation
it.
arises,
There aren't problems, so I'm going to be
Like right now?
He's going to have to come up.
no,
and-
we don't have to like dive into it now. I know we got other stuff to talk about.
It's crazy because there's like no problems with the movie, so he's got to like lie and make
Don't-
stuff up. Probably.
I just think it's not. Spark Notes, we're not going to debate this right now, but since you asked, number one thing, visually looks gross.
Oh,
I'm sorry. It's just They
I'm
shot
sorry.
the whole movie.
Sorry.
They shot the whole movie with like no sets, basically, all in front of blue screens. Doesn't look great,
We need
especially
to show
20
them the
years
behind the-
later. We're not debating this right now.
Maybe show them the behind the scenes because there's actually a lot of practical sets.
Well, I'm sure there's some practical effects, but it's greatly
There's a
outweighed.
ton.
It's greatly outweighed by swinging on ropes with lightsabers in front of CGI lava.
Oh, I didn't know you hated fun and cool.
That's just so goofy. This is
Goofy?
this is supposed to be the most important,
Goofy.
most raw and emotional
The fact that
lightsaber battle you've ever seen, and it's just we're swinging on ropes, balancing on lava things.
You interpreting it as goofy is your fault. I thought it was
it's
awesome.
my fault that
I thought it was awesome and epic.
I didn't know this was
and it was-
Tarzan. my bad. I'm sorry.
Okay,
And also,
okay.
we're going to talk about how Anakin's whole trip to the dark side is so like not set up well at all. It's rushed and also prolonged, and it's just so weird. It's like it's so full of memes. The dialogue is terrible. I mean, come on.
memes.
I understand.
It's mildly enjoyable, but the political stuff doesn't. It's like kind of interesting, but anyway,
I hope
it's
you
just
find yourself in a cube.
I get.
I don't know what to say after that. So
I get some of those points you made, Wesley. So this will be a fun conversation.
I don't care.
when
Let
we
us know in
have
the
it.
comments if you want us to deep dive Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
I have an argument for 2 hours.
I mean, we argue for free. Might as well do it on camera.
Or just wait till the Man of Steel episode. in July. Oh man. Okay.
I'm honestly just gonna sit back, maybe have a box of popcorn.
No. See, because you agree with me probably.
Ever since you put Man of Steel in your Mount Rushmore of superhero movies, I know that I'm gonna be 2 versus 1 this whole time.
He recognizes you as a villain.
All right. Well, no.
I come with goals of healthy discussion, no attacks from me.
I come to attack you personally.
All right. Well, you know that's all you need to know about Jason.
Sorry.
No, I'm just kidding.
not.
Jason's a really nice guy. So now that we're done talking about 5 out of 10 movies, we're gonna talk about.
Jason's response.
We're actually going to talk about another potential 5 out of 10 movie that comes out next year. Avengers.
You mean next? Oh, next year.
Yeah, 2026. Avengers Doomsday is going to come out, and Papa Kevin Feige dropped us a trailer. A teaser that's not really a trailer. It's a cast announcement.
They dropped us some chairs, is what they did.
It's like the chairs that you'd have on set, and it has their names on the back. I mean, I like the
cast names, yeah.
and it had, yeah. So I have all of the cast members written down. I don't think we need to go into deep dive all of these, or we'll be here all night.
You have
We can list them though. We can just
Robert Downey Jr.
Wait. He's gonna list them.
I'm gonna listen to him. So, so the first one, Thor or Chris Hemsworth.
They got Thor to come and play
I'll
Chris
just read out
Hemsworth.
the cast names: Vanessa Kirby, Pedro Pascal, Ebon Moss-Bachrach, Joseph Quinn, Anthony Mackie, Danny Ramirez, Sebastian Stan, Florence Pugh, Wyatt Russell, David Harbour, Louis Pullman, Letitia Wright, Tinoch Huerta Mejia, Winston Duke, Paul Rudd, Hannah John Kamen, Simu Liu, and Kelsey Grammer, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Alan Cumming, Rebecca Roman, James Marsden, Channing Tatum, Tom Hiddleston, and Robert Downey Jr. So there's a lot. That's 27 names. And there's also a lot of names that are not in this as well. Mm-hmm. So first of all, what are some of the biggest like no-brainers here for you? Like, okay, good. He's in there. She's in there.
Thor.
Yeah. Thor, I was a little like, is he coming back after Love and Thunder?
Okay, I know I'm about to go in the opposite direction, but where's Doctor Strange?
Yeah. We don't know.
Where's Benedict
Cumberbatch has said in an interview
Cabbage
that
Patch?
he is going to be in this movie. So he wasn't in the casting list, but he said in an interview he will be in Avengers Doomsday.
I imagine there's more people those are just like major to semi-major roles, right?
Yeah, I don't think that all of these are going to be.
See, because like Spider-Man, I think Spider-Man will be in the movie in some
Spider-Man
capacity.
is, that's a notable exception. Spider-Man, Tom Holland, Zendaya, Jacob Batalon,
I don't think
all of them
Zendaya's gonna be in
are
the-
not in this movie.
Wait, Tom.
Well, supposedly. not in this.
See, I
movie.
thought Tom Holland was supposed to be in some portion.
Well,
'Cause
they're
I know
not,
he's,
I guess they're not announced. Is what
I know
meant to
he's
say.
filming The Odyssey, but
Well, that might be almost done filming. I don't know.
no, I just like started like a month or two ago. Didn't it?
Yeah, so there's definitely probably scheduling conflict there, and they're gonna film.
I have a.
He's gonna film Spider-Man after the Odyssey.
Is now the place for theories about the movie?
Well, I mean, we're talking about it.
Well, let's get through this cast first, and then we can come back. Before we talk about the theories. So Black Panther and crew is all here. Paul Rudd coming back. Yes. Paul Rudd is a national treasure. That needs to be protected.
I haven't been
at
the
all
biggest
costs.
fan of his Ant-Man movies the past couple of years.
Well, the movies themselves aren't great, but
I mean, he's been fun.
Paul Rudd is just amazing.
But they do him dirty.
Does anybody
so-
have some orange slices?
But they do him so dirty. They make him. They treat him like he's dumb.
Yep, they
He's
do.
actually very smart.
Right? Don't get
So-
me started. I'm gonna rant.
But I'm happy Thor is back.
You're gonna ant rant?
Yeah, I'm gonna
We're
rant.
not- we can ant rant later, but let's get through this. So Thor is back. That's good news.
I'm going ant rant.
Fantastic Four to be expected. That movie comes out this summer.
Fun fact about The Thing, Eben Moss, he also played Micro in the Punisher
He did.
series, which is now canon to the MCU.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Oh yeah.
Also, who else is here that I was thinking of?
Who's
I can't
Micro?
remember. What I was gonna
Namor. Namor's name is in there, right?
say. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Namor?
really?
I thought he died.
No, he didn't die.
Nah, he
I don't remember.
came back.
Remember,
He came back. They came back together on like that
They agree-
ship.
They, even though you massacred my people and killed my mother, I will be the bigger man and not punish you for your crimes.
Yeah. Black Panther.
I don't like that ending.
Also from Ant-Man, Hannah John Kamen is back. I think she was the Ghost.
Yeah, Ghost.
The Ghost.
She'll be in Thunderbolts too. I think.
Oh really? Okay.
Well, the whole Thunderbolts are there.
All the Thunderbolts are here, including Lewis Pullman, Sentry. And Sentry's like one of the big bads in the in like the comics, right? Like one of the overarching big bads with Kang and Thanos and all of them. So.
What's his?
He's supposedly kind of like a Superman type, like impossible to kill. You know,
Is he the one we see in the trailer, just like vaporizing people into shadows?
could be.
I think it's someone else. But I might be wrong.
Maybe. Anthony Mackie, Danny Ramirez, man, the best character ever.
Oh.
Who is
Joaquin, not Phoenix.
Joaquin Torres. What's his name? Oh, he's just the new Falcon.
New Falcon.
We were the whole
Falcon
podcast. We were like, "What is his superhero name?" And we're like, "Oh yeah, he just took the old one." It took us forever to realize that.
He took the hand-me-down suit and the hand-me-down name.
And he blew up.
Shang-Chi is back. Simu Liu.
I'm
Which
excited to see him again for the first
yeah.
time in like 5 years.
yeah, I'm excited. I like Shang-Chi.
Some good fight choreography in Shang-Chi.
Yeah, I mean, I like the character more than I think the movie.
I don't
but
think the movie's that good.
the movie's not that great, but the character
The character's
is
awesome.
exciting.
Dude, the trailer, like the song that they used in the trailer is like,
The whole soundtrack is awesome. It's like
For Shang-Chi.
yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
like, dun, 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 dun. It's like you can hear. I don't know if I want to try to explain it right now. Actually, never mind. We'll
You
move
just hear
on.
some cool things.
Just hear some cool things.
Just listen to the
bus
soundtrack.
fight is probably some really fun choreography for me.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the I think most iconic scenes in like
post Endgame
post
MCU.
Endgame.
Yeah, I enjoyed his energy. Like, I think he delivered his fight choreography with a lot of energy and not punch. He just was very like quick with his hitting and seemed very like on cue.
I also really like the MCU versions of the Ten Rings. You know, in the comics, they're actually like another version of Infinity Stones in that they control different elements and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like actual rings you wear. But
Now they're arm
Now
rings.
they're on a gauntlet because it looks cooler.
and they were probably like the Ten Rings in the comics are stupid. Anyways,
So
Back to the cast.
Tom Hiddleston is back as Loki. I'm assuming Loki.
well, so I'm thinking so too. But Tom Hiddleston did come out like after this and said he doesn't know what his character is actually going to be. So I don't know if he's just saying that or if he literally doesn't know, or he's just coming back as Loki, which I kind of hope he is, because if you've seen the end of Loki season 2, I really like where the character ended up.
Yeah, I don't think.
Although he's technically dead, kind of.
Well, he's kind of just like T-posing forever.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
So
I don't know how does he eat? How does he go to the bathroom?
Do you have to stay
he's also like an omnipotent being now, so maybe he can kind of do whatever he wants in a way.
He just feeds off of time and space.
It's really weird. If you know anything about Norse mythology, it kind of pulls from that, but
Yeah.
it's also really cool. If there's anything to watch about Marvel shows, it's Daredevil, Loki, and Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Don't watch the other things.
Robert Downey Jr.'s back. I mean, we've known that for a while. He's going to play Doctor Doom, so probably some Tony Stark variant. Whatever. But his name is Victor Von Doom instead.
He's going to say, "I hate you 3000." And like turn his family to ash.
I hate you.
That was pretty funny.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, wow.
I'm sorry.
No, don't beat us. And obviously the X-Men now are back, which this is the part that I don't really like about the casting. Personally, not the fact that the X-Men are in this like as a concept, like the characters, but I don't think we need to bring back
The Fox
old
X-Men
cast. Personally, I like, why not just build from the ground up? I don't know. Not everything has to be, ooh, you see this reference? Hey, you guys see this? Hey, look.
So
recognize this guy? You know this guy? I feel like that's what this movie's going to be. But
So I think they're just going to use this as a launch board into actually introducing probably not original, but like new versions of these characters.
yeah.
I imagine.
But why not do that in this movie? Like, this movie feels like the opportunity to do that.
They might.
Well, like Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen got to be 90 at this point. Like, maybe they're just only going to be in this movie. I don't know.
That's
but
what I'm
like,
saying.
Is this really the future of the X-Men?
I don't think this is going to be the version of the MCU X-Men. I think what they're doing is they're introducing the concept of mutants heavily. And I maybe even in this movie we'll get new castings.
Now, Channing Tatum, I am excited about.
He's
I'm
gonna
about
be
to make a
Gambit.
name for myself.
Oh, yeah.
So, is he going to be Gambit?
Yeah, so if I don't know if you knew, but he's in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh, I
He
didn't
shows
know
up for like a couple scenes at the end. So
he's in the movie
as
quite a bit.
Gambit. And I think it was just supposed to be a joke as like,
Well, no, because Channing Tatum
Yeah.
originally really like pushed to be Gambit.
well, there was a Gambit movie that was just never got out of pre-production.
And he was like heavily like he wanted to be Gambit.
It wasn't just a fan casting?
Well, I think it was supposed to be like a fan casting joke that they actually put in Deadpool.
Well, no. Channing Tatum really wanted to be Gambit. It wasn't a
Yeah.
fan. I mean, it kind of
Well, it was a joke though, because I mean his accent was ridiculous on purpose, right? Like it just seemed like it was there.
Well, it's
for
played off as a joke in
it's
Deadpool
fan service
Wolverine.
/ comedic effect. But I didn't think he was actually going to be like Gambit of the MCU. Like that's a little bit weird to me, but
Yeah,
also I kind of like it.
I read his name. I was reading, like, you can ask Lourdes. She was watching it with me, and I was just like reading names. I was like, okay, them, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Channing Tatum.
Yeah, because like they had the original cast, like Kelsey Grammer as Beast and Alan Cumming, I think, is the Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
And Rebecca Romijn. I forget what she is. She's a blue.
Mystique.
She's one of the blue ones.
Mystique.
There's like 3 or 4 blue ones.
Mystique.
Yeah, Mystique. I don't know. I'm not as well versed in the X-Men.
Jason's like, Mystique. Mystique? Mystique.
I have selective hearing, so it took me a second to hear what you're saying.
Well, the other
Wesley
blue ones,
chooses when to listen
Yes,
to
exactly.
Jason.
There's 3
I
blue
almost
ones.
said Wason.
And 2 of them are dudes. So
Oh.
We've become one. Wason.
Wason.
We're at the point in our friendship where
Wesley-
it's like, I
wait,
can tune him on and off if I want.
Wason and Justly.
Wason and Jet.
Wow.
We split in half.
We're not doing a friendship name.
We each merged into 2 new people. Wason and Jessie.
That's just Wastely. You guys are so funny. That's not even that funny, but I'm laughing because you guys are laughing.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
No, man.
I'm excited about Kelsey Grammer though a little bit because I think Kelsey Grammer does a really good Beast.
And he was actually already in the post-credit scene of the Marvels, which I don't know if anybody's seen the post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
I have.
that's right. I forgot about
That's
that.
the one thing that I remember.
There's a
from
lot
that
of
movie.
post-credit scenes that have just. Hercules was in the Thor: Love and Thunder one.
Yeah.
We're still waiting for that crazy guy at the end of Spider-Man: Homecoming to show up.
We're still waiting for.
Well, he's supposed to be.
Harry Styles at the end of Eternals.
We're still waiting for also the guy at the end of Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm not doing it this way anymore.
No, they explain that away in another reason to absolutely loathe Multiverse of Midness, but in that movie when he meets what's the character's name? Mordo?
Chiwetel Ejiofor, the actor.
Correct, but the character.
I forget his name.
It starts with an M.
Morden.
Mobius.
No.
Mordo.
It's Mordo.
Okay.
I think.
It took
Anyways,
a couple
when he meets
to
the
get
alternate Mordo in the multiverse, he mentions how his own version of him has always gotten in his way and that he's dealt with them in the past. So they're implying that he already dealt with the teaser from the end of Doctor Strange. Is what they're saying with that line of dialogue.
And Charlize Theron was in it as that like lady with the purple. You remember at the end of Multiverse of Madness?
Oh, in the post-credit scene of Multiverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Something about getting the third eye, and he's using the evil book.
Yeah.
I hate that movie, dude.
That sounds weird.
Harry Styles showed up at the end of Eternals.
Yeah. He's supposed to be like Thanos' brother.
Blade is still supposedly out there.
Blade ain't happening. There's only ever been one Blade, and there ain't never gonna be.
Mahershala Ali was like, "Dude, this script is terrible. We gotta."
What did Wesley Snipes say in
There's only one Blade, and there only ever will be one blade. Maybe that might be true. Honestly,
That's so funny.
Mahershala Ali, I think, would do good as Blade.
I think he would too.
But
I saw this post or like this image years ago where it's like it's Blade. He's like, "Can you guys help me with these vampires? There's like 1 million of them." And the Avengers, it just says the Avengers replied, "No." I was just thinking about that today.
that's like every
There's like a
MCU,
Slack group chat.
Yeah.
It's like, where the heck was the Incredible Hulk during when this giant colossal being is coming out of the earth?
Right.
Like, you think like just more than the Eternal. That's like every movie.
It is. It's just so funny. I just like the idea that Blade is like the only one fighting 1 million vampires. He's like, "Can I please get some help?"
They send him like the new Falcon to help him out or something. They're like, "Yeah, Joaquin, you can get in there."
Oh my gosh.
Oh, so some noticeable absences we should talk about.
Yeah.
Obviously, we already mentioned Spider-Man. None of the Marvels ladies are in it. Okay.
Is that notable?
Mark Ruffalo was not mentioned. It's
Mark Ruffalo's on a
Mark
planet.
Ruffalo's being a parent now, I guess.
he's acting in movies like Mickey 17 and
The damage that She-Hulk has done to the Marvel Universe.
Tatiana Maslany was not in this.
What about the new Hawkeye girl?
No, none of the Hawkeye. Yeah, no Clint Barton, no Kate Bishop. None of the Daredevil cast mentioned.
I think
Maybe they're just trying to keep that more street level kind of.
you have the Thunderbolts, all right? And half of those guys are street level.
Yeah, it's like if we're gonna put the shooty guy, some of the shooty guys,
Like
only.
Yelena Belova, who Florence Pugh plays. Like, there's no, like, Daredevil has powers at least,
Yeah,
you know?
it's like of all the shoot only guys, like you're gonna put in the Thunderbolts. You know,
I get their recency bias. They're in a movie. These are much bigger names than Charlie Cox. Although Marvel's clearly indicated that they recognize that Daredevil is super popular.
yeah.
Put him in your movies. Even if he's not gonna, even if he can't fight, like, even if Doctor Doom will turn him into like Ash or something, you know?
He's like, where are you? I hear you. No, I'm just kidding. I know Daredevil's more skilled and honed in than that.
I can smell you.
I will be interested to see if he shows up in the new Spider-Man movie, though.
I would be.
I think he can figure out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Breathe.
He literally did a case and has case files that.
Well, no. So he knew obviously that Peter Parker was Spider-Man, but then they did the spell.
Yeah, so like mentally he forgets, but couldn't he just look at his
I think
lawyer records and be like, wait,
I
what?
think the magic erased Peter from everything. Remember, he had to go back to school. It erased his school records and everything. So
he's just
I
like
imagine
a
it erased
guy.
every file that Matt had.
He's like AWOL, basically. He's like literally just a being that exists with no family.
So obviously Matt Murdock
really sad.
is aware of Spider-Man because that's still happening. And Wilson Fisk or Kingpin mentions it in the show directly about, he mentions Spider-Man swinging around. So
that's kind of cool.
I do hope to see the characters interact again. That scene in No Way Home had me like cheering. I had like just gotten over COVID.
Yeah.
And I went to go see it on my first day out of quarantine, or the first night, because it was like an early showing on a Thursday night or something. That was like one of them.
Dude, I saw that opening night Thursday night in IMAX.
We didn't see it together.
We might have saw it a different time.
Yeah, I went to see it with my brother.
What if we were in the same showing and didn't realize it?
We could have been. I think I saw it in IMAX.
Anyway. Yeah, so who else is in here?
The Guardians of the
Oh
Galaxy.
yeah, no Guardians.
No Guardians.
Although I guess they never really
Chris
were.
Pratt's on
Avengers.
Earth somewhere.
Mowing lawns.
I think, like Dave Bautista said, like he's done.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, no, but there's a new Guardians. They set
there's
up
like a new
Guardians.
there's like a new team.
Yeah, but like, is that what the people want?
I actually do want to. I like with what's his name? Adam
Warlock.
Groot.
The
You have Rocket, the dog. You have
Mantis.
who's the Kraglin?
Oh yeah.
I think that'd be a fun.
Korg? Was Korg in it? No, he's not.
No,
he's
that's
in Thor
Ragnarok.
That's a
movies.
Thor guy.
Never mind. See, that's.
I mean, unfortunately, we're never going to get another James Gunn directed one. So
nope. We will get James Gunn superhero movies, but not in the MCU.
So maybe I don't want them to make a fourth one, but
So
I think they could,
yeah.
and I think it'd be good.
So I've heard people saying this is going to be Avengers versus X-Men. Like Robert Downey Jr. is going to pit them to get against each other, which could be interesting.
That could be, yeah.
I think that could be interesting. But what I want to see is I really want Fantastic Four to be a good movie.
Me too, man. Me too.
Like, I don't know how Avengers is going to work because these guys, this is the first family, right, in the comics. Like, I think that these guys are going to be the leaders of the new Avenger movies, along with probably Thor if he's back and Captain America.
They're such an iconic family. Yeah.
I would 100% support Pedro Pascal being the face of the MCU going forward.
So one thing that I saw
As
pointed
Mr.
out
Fantastic.
on a video, like a theory video, was that
my
Pedro Pascal is the second to last chair that they show right before Robert Downey Jr. So a lot of people are thinking like he's going to be like the central like new Tony Stark type, like guy that's like the face of the MCU.
He also probably demands the second most money out of everybody.
Which
there.
that's a lot of pressure to put off of one setup movie, you know.
I mean, honestly,
Where it's an ensemble movie too. So
honestly, if the movie's just decent, but Pedro Pascal's just like really good as Mr. Fantastic, I'm sold. I think
he's gonna be Stretchy Man, who's also really smart. What a weird combo. Of
They
powers.
didn't show his powers in the trailer. Did y'all notice that? They showed everyone else's powers.
Did they show Invisible Woman too?
Everyone else's powers except his.
I wonder if he's gonna have vague purple powers like Miss Marvel does. That nobody knows what the heck it is.
Oh yeah,
I wonder if they're gonna like read
that
his
is
powers
weird
or something.
I don't
doubt
think
that.
so.
Nah.
I think
He's
what it
gonna be
is
stretchy,
I think
man.
what it is it's probably the most difficult to render, so they just didn't have it rendered for the trailer.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
But
I like the trailer though.
I almost forgot, but my theory, because you brought up theories.
Yeah, let's talk theories.
Dude, okay, my theory is out there. My friend told me that it was stupid. He didn't say that directly, but he was like,
me, right?
no, it wasn't you. It was a different.
It wasn't Asher.
It was a different friend. But I was like, bro, what if? All right, what if, like, Spider-Man? The reason to explain away Spider-Man not being in this movie as much is they'll have him there, or they'll have somebody in the suit, right? And they'll have him get killed by Tony Doomsday. Tony Doom.
I hope that's what they call him, Tony Doomsday.
They'll have him killed, zapped, and turned to ash or whatever for a second time because he was dusted earlier. And he's like the anchor being, right? Like Spider-Man might be the anchor being of the main MCU, and that's kind of like the movie is them figuring that junk out. Because that would explain why maybe this version of Loki is coming back, if that is who it is. It could be another variant, right? But I don't know, like, they're bringing Loki back, probably, maybe. Spider-Man's not really in it, so maybe they kill him a second time. That'd be really weird, right, to kill Spider-Man twice?
Well, he's got a movie coming out, like, right after.
I get that, but you could have him be revived by the end of the movie or something. I don't know.
We already killed Spider-Man once. Do we need to do it again?
You're giving Marvel a little too much credit, bud.
I like your idea of him being the center, like what is it,
the anchor being. Or maybe they think they killed him. I don't know. There's got to be an explanation for why Spider-Man's not in the movie, right? Because people are going to wonder. And, like, I don't know. You can't have an Avengers without Spider-Man unless you have a good reason to not have him in there. One reason is like, oh, he's dead. Or think about this. Because maybe Peter Parker was the anchor being, and now that he was erased, maybe that causes the problem, and that some weird shenanigans. I don't know. I have, like, this vague thought. Like, I have an idea, and I'm missing information, right? Like, we don't know where this Tony Doom comes from, but he's clearly a different multiverse guy, right? I think there's got to be a reason for him to come to or the main universe, right? What if it has something to do with Spider-Man or Peter Parker getting killed or erased at the end of his previous movie? You know, that could explain why he's dead. I don't know. Something like that.
I don't think you're crazy.
I mean,
I'm crazy. I do, but not because of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, what you thinking, Asher?
I'm thinking that there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of build up to Avengers Doomsday for it to be coming out next year already. Because, you know, if we study the first Avengers, I think they built up to that really well with everyone's stories, like the first Iron Man, the first Captain America, the first Thor. I think they built up to that team up really well.
Mm-hmm. But and they elaborate on them in the movie too.
Yeah. But for me, and maybe this is just because I haven't seen everything post Endgame. Like, I haven't really sat down to watch the TV shows. I've kind of like kept updated with what's happened in the stories. I haven't seen all the movies since then. Like, I haven't seen Eternals or the Marvels and stuff like that. I've tried to like stay updated with things that I thought would be good to, like, you know, be updated on story wise, but maybe this is coming from that as well. But it just doesn't seem like they've built up for this Avengers Doomsday movie. And also too, after Endgame, it almost felt like we can, as an audience, like take a deep breath and kind of essentially enjoy this next phase that they're doing. And I wasn't really thinking about other Avengers stuff, you know, like the way Endgame ended was not a tie. It was like kind of the cherry on top for a lot of storylines. You know, like it kind of brought a close to a lot of the chapters for characters. And with the movies that have come out since Endgame, they don't seem super connected. And then when they do seem connected, it's just not... it just doesn't feel more. It doesn't feel as authentic, I guess. Yeah. So I'm just wondering how, like, what is this Fantastic Four movie going to do? What is Thunderbolts going to do before Avengers Doomsday? Or are they really doing something with Doomsday that is going to surprise us all and make us realize, oh, like they were actually doing a lot of setup in these shows and movies? But then again, that's a lot to kind of demand of your audience. Like, hey, you need to watch these shows and these movies to understand Avengers Doomsday, you know?
Yeah.
I guess like what the old Avengers movies were like checkpoints in the MCU. You had Avengers 1, which takes kind of the development that happened in all for these characters in their own single movies, and you put that in a blender, right, for the first Avengers, right? You've established Tony and Steve, and now when they're together, they're like, how do they interact? Well, they kind of butt heads a little bit, but they also have a level of respect for each other, I think. Right? You get that really nice stuff that you can only, it's evolving the characters with what's already been established. Same thing with Age of Ultron. And even though I think Joss Whedon kind of lost the plot a little bit with certain things, I still think it does a relatively good job of, like, by this point, Winter Soldier had already come out. We'd had Iron Man 3 and that sort of thing. And again, so like he kind of messes up Iron Man, right? It's like, well, he blows up his suits in 3 and he's like, well, we kind of have to have Iron Man in the movie. But with Tony and a lot of the other Avengers, he does a good enough job of like kind of progressing the characters again where they were. So, and then with Civil War, which isn't an Avengers movie, it just felt like, but it is another checkpoint for these characters. And then Infinity War, again, post Civil War, it's just, they evolve.
Yeah.
How are we going to get that with Doomsday? Because, okay, yeah, sure, we're going to get Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts. So those are two movies that involve characters that are going to be in this new movie. So you can evolve these characters, I guess, within this movie. But there's a whole lot of the cast. What is it, 27 total people or whatever so far? So half the cast that were not in previous movies, they're in old Fox movies. So we don't know how much of that is canon here, right? It might be completely canon, but then again, it's like, it's from entirely different writers. It's from nearly 20 years ago. Yeah. So... and they're taking up probably half the screen time from these other characters that are probably going to be way more relevant in the future. So I just don't see how this is like... I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's like, who are we moving forward? Whose story are we taking to the next level? What events that are happening in this movie that are going to impact these next characters' future movies, right? Yeah. So like Avengers 1, you have, Captain America's like fresh out of the ice. And then you have him just kind of like adjusting to this. He's like been isolated. But after getting out of the ice, he's been,
you can hear it,
isolated, right? He's been like living by himself in a basement until Nick Fury brings him. He's like, we need your help. So he works with a team. So then in the movie after that, which is The Winter Soldier, you have him making an effort to kind of have friends and all this other stuff. And he's realizing the world is like completely different. He was kind of lied to a little bit by S.H.I.E.L.D. When he initially came out. So the Avengers movie evolved Steve. Same thing with Tony. The big thing is like, the PTSD that kind of sets up the whole arc for his character post his own solo movies is him flying up with the nuclear bomb into a space portal, right? And that like heavily influences his character in his third, solo film, and then in every film going forward, it influences how he is in Civil War and stuff. Yeah. I don't think we're going to get that with Doomsday. It's going to be really hard to do that. When, one, we're dedicating a lot of screen time to characters who probably won't be in any more future movies, at least not in any important role. I mean, I might be wrong. Maybe the X-Men are here to stay, this version of them. But you're taking away screen time from these characters who kind of will be the future. So the Fantastic Four guys and the Thunderbolts guys, right? And you're dedicating it to these other folks. And then you're bringing back Robert Downey Jr., who's also going to probably take up a ton of screen time. And maybe he will but none of these characters knew Tony Stark. You know what I mean?
Some of them did, like Thor does.
Thor, okay.
Captain America, and Black Panther, and Ant-Man.
All right.
A lot of them knew Tony Stark.
You know what I meant though, right? They weren't
Many
close
of them
friends.
don't, yeah.
Even the ones who knew Tony, like Thor is probably the closest guy. Because the Falcon, the majority of his time was actually spent fighting Tony Stark or not being involved with him.
True. Yeah, he was not on Team Stark.
So, and Thor, even though he knew Tony, he didn't really like Tony that much. The times he did, the brief moments we got of them together.
They literally fought the first time they met.
So, my point being is like, you know, what does Mr. Fantastic care that, hey, that guy has Tony's face? Like, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He wasn't intimately involved with the version of Tony that we know. Mm-hmm. And Spider-Man's not here. And he might not be, or even if he is, it'll be a minor
I think
role.
he'll be there.
But it'll be small.
I think he's gonna be huge in Secret Wars, but
unless Doomsday.
I think
unless Victor Von Doom, Tony's version of Doom, is going to be in Secret Wars, you know, you're missing a huge opportunity of this character moment for Peter.
I think ultimately Kevin Feige wanted trailer bait, get people excited about cast members, and he's also doing the thing where it's like, oh, well, we can guess who's going to be in it. I think this is honestly pretty genius for what he's doing in terms of marketing. However,
people are talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just to kind of sum up what y'all are saying, like a lot of people in this cast doesn't feel super set up. Feels like we might be rushed into this, although it's been forever. Right. So it shouldn't have that feeling of being rushed.
I guess
it's only been 7 years since
it'll be
Endgame?
7 years when it releases.
I guess ultimately my thing is all the interesting stuff of having Tony come back would involve characters that are either dead or not are not around anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I could just see like old Steve Rogers like sitting on his porch and seeing all this happen on the street in front of them. He's like, good luck with that.
I don't even have my shield.
It's like, hi, Sam.
Yeah.
How's it working out for you?
How's it working out for you? I'm sure we'll speculate more on this as more trailers come out. We're also on trailer watch for Superman, by the way.
I'm on trailer watch for Tron, bro.
Trailer watch for Tron. But yeah, we gotta get moving to our recommendations here. But yeah,
vroom vroom. I drive.
We got news. It's always fun when you get news for these things. So you guys ready for your recommendations? Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
Sure.
Let me just pull it up to make sure I say it right. Yep.
I'm like, hey, what's up? Hello.
So, Jason, you know how the last time I gave a recommendation and you said that I've been giving recommendations that you haven't seen?
Yeah.
I'm going to keep the trend going.
That's good.
How do you know I haven't seen?
Does Jason actually watch these?
Don't put me on the spotlight.
Okay.
Spot like that.
So I did not go looking for this short film. This short film found me. It was in YouTube, you know, and I saw the thumbnail and I was really captivated. So it's an award-winning animated short film. I don't know. Oh wait, the award says it right here. It's the Suzanne Awards BCon 24 Best Short Film Award. And it is an animated short film called Koji.
Spell that
and
for me.
Koji. And if you want to go on YouTube and find it, I can put it in the show notes, but it's by it was published by Zine, Zean. That's the account that released it. And I think Ammonite was also another company involved with the film because they shared a behind the scenes video as well. All that to say, this is a very cool stylized animated short film. It's a black and white animated short film, 3D animated, not 2D, hand-drawn, 3D animated style. And it's about a samurai and he fights a bad guy. And it's really cool.
Nice.
And it's black and white except for certain elements. And so it's really cool how those certain elements give a pop of color to the frames and how it even lights the characters and stuff. So I would say kind of think of it as, I think they even mentioned this, one of these movies, but what's the older black and white samurai movie? Is it The Seven Samurais or The Last Samurai?
Last Samurai is Tom Cruise.
Okay, so then Seven Samurai. Yeah, 1954 Japanese film Seven Samurai. It's a black and white film. So kind of think of, this black and white film with hints of like Samurai Jack, like the aesthetic Samurai Jack accomplished and the cool factor that they accomplished with that show in 3D animation. And also it has kind of a even the animation style, like the frame rates look like they animated it to be on like 2s or 3s. And basically what that means is every 2 frames the image changes instead of every frame. So like there's 24 frames in a second. And so there's animation that can be either on 1s, 2s, or 3s. A lot of anime is on 3s. That's why it looks a bit more choppier, because the images are moving mostly every 3 frames. So you'll see the frames longer. So it has like this very cool animation aesthetic to it. And what's cool about it too is that the animation, like the 3D animation, the rendering and the modeling is very simple. Like it doesn't look super detailed or refined like a Pixar film, but they actually mentioned this because they wanted to figure out ways to be efficient with the production of it. And so like, the more you model something, that can take up rendering time, that can take up the actual computer processing time to actually work with those models. And so they wanted to choose, they basically went a route that gave them more efficiency, but in the end, it gave them a very cool visual style with these characters and the overall world of this short film. And so it was really cool. They did a lot with the visuals, with the music and the sounds to really drive and tell the story. There's actually no dialogue. There's grunts and stuff because of the fighting, but yeah, Koji, really cool 3D animated short film. And
how did you spell that?
Koji.
I can't find it on IMDb, so I don't know where it would be. I was trying to look it up. But.
Yeah, you can. I mean, it's on YouTube, so you can look up Koji short film, easiest way. But yeah, and even it was just really cool because it's a very straightforward story that I think people can understand and relate to and get behind. Basically from what I have gathered, good versus evil, and also it was just done in a very artistic and visually pleasing way, and even with the audio too. Like they really cared about the audio, the sounds, the music. Yeah, so that's my recommendation, Koji. I actually want to show you guys before we leave tonight. Yeah. So
call me Diggity because I'm down.
All right, Diggity down. You or me next?
I'll go next because we're going in a line.
All right.
Because that's cool with you.
Curved line.
Yeah. My recommendation, I feel like I've talked about it before, or mentioned it at least, in a previous episode, maybe the last one. Because we were talking about superhero media. Invincible, which is an animated series which has been airing on Amazon Prime, based off of a comic by the same name, created by Robert Kirkman, who did the Walking Dead comic and also helped with the show. Oh, wow. I don't know if Robert Kirkman wrote for The Walking Dead, but he's writing for Invincible. And it's a pretty faithful adaptation from what I can tell. I haven't read the comics, but I know a fair amount about what happens in them, just because, I don't know, osmosis. It's just a really good show. I think I talked about it a little bit in our previous, well, it'll be 2 episodes before this one, when we talked about Captain America. But it feels this need for me to have this superhero media, good superhero media, in the stuff that I've been watching. Now, there's a big knock on it. A lot of people are like, well, the animation's kind of bad. And I'm not going to lie to you. The animation isn't like the smoothest. But the animation is good where it counts, and that's in the action and the fights. So
there's probably just budget limitations. And
well, they spend all their money on the on the actors,
Simmons
on the
Steven
voices, because they have a lot of like high profile voice actors or regular actors doing voices. But the animation is good where it counts, and that's in the action. And man, the action is awesome. Season 3 just finished airing. I see a few people saying like it's like it's kind of the best season. I think it's the best season. I think it's the best season so far. Season 1's really close. Season 2 is okay. But season 3, man, its highs are like really, really high. So there's like 5 or 4 episodes. It's an 8-episode season. There's like 5 or 4 episodes that are just like S tier. I wish I could experience that again for the first time. It's just really good. I don't know. The fight scenes are very like satisfying. I don't know. There's something about watching the way they animate and the audio they use for like the punching. It just feels good to like watch. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's something about that, and the way Mark / Invincible, the main character, the way he fights is just really like. I guess it's like it's not brutal, but it's maybe primal. I don't know. He just fights with a lot of like oomph, like with maybe a little bit of, like a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, right?
Like reckless.
Yeah, he's a little regular. He's not like a great fighter, right?
He's not like a clean mixed martial artist.
He relies on the fact that he's a super being, right? A lot. And you see that communicated in the way he fights. He just like, he punches and hopes he punches harder than the other guy.
He's like off leash.
Yeah. So it's just really a really fun fighting style. I think they convey that really well. But all the fight scenes in the show, there's a lot of characters with like a lot of unique abilities, and they do a lot for me. But, animation, action, they're not everything. Story obviously comes number 1 in most cases. And the story, I think, is great. It tells a really refreshing story when it comes to the superhero genre in a world where everything seems kind of tired and everything kind of seems done already. Invincible feels new. Which is ironic because, as I understand it, that's how it was as a comic. It was like super refreshing back in the early 2000s. I think I mentioned this in a previous episode, so I'm like repeating myself. But watch Invincible. I think everybody already has because it's pretty popular. But
it's got it does seem pretty popular.
Yeah, but it's good. You should watch it.
Nice.
It's a little graphic. It's very graphic for an animated show. But I also think it's like, well...
It ain't your Justice League animated series.
But come on.
That show is good, though.
It is good. I love Justice League. But also, when you have super beings punching each other, they bleed. All right? That's just what happens. Okay?
Punch me, I bleed.
At the minimum.
At the minimum. Yeah, sometimes there's a little more than bleeding, but...
Yeah, I've seen the opening scene with Omni-Man before. Yeah.
Awesome scene, by the way. It's spoiled for so many people, but if you watched it blind, you were lucky.
Yeah.
How can you watch it blind?
That's a good point, Asher. How could you watch it blind? Listen.
Wow.
Imagine it.
I don't know what to say to that. I'll just give you mine, I guess. So my recommendation, I don't know. I don't think it's lame. Maybe it's kind of lame.
I'm excited to hear yours.
So I'm delving into the TV land again. So you've probably seen it already, but...
The Penguin again.
No, not the Penguin. That is a past recommendation, and I would recommend you watch that. But I've been watching Suits. Which is,
it is kind of lame.
It is. Okay.
I'm kidding. I'm messing with you.
It's got its lame moments, but I think it's actually really entertaining, and I think the acting is really good.
How far into it?
I think the characters are interesting. I'm like 5 seasons in, bro.
How many seasons are
I'm
there?
committed to this. I think there's 9.
Okay.
So I'm like right around.
So you would say that it's still like worth the investment 5 seasons in for you?
Yeah. Sometimes it does get like a little repetitive. But I do think that it's a really interesting show. And like 5 seasons in, I'm invested in the main characters. I think that there still is enough like story momentum to keep you engaged in it. So yeah, I really like that about it. Is it like the best show I've ever seen? No, but that's what I've been watching lately, and it's good. Yeah. So
can you remind me on the storyline? Because I feel like I'm thinking of the right show.
So basically, it's a lawyer show. So
Daredevil.
There's like two-ish main characters, I guess, that at least from what I perceive from watching it. So Mike Ross, who is played by Patrick Adams, he is a fraud essentially. So he had never went to law school or passed the bar, but he has a photographic memory and is like really smart guy. So he actually like memorized the entire like bar study book or whatever. So he like knows everything about like what you need to know to be a lawyer, but he never actually went to law school.
That's funny.
So he's basically in the first episode like running from the cops because he was like it's kind of like Good Will Hunting, if you've seen that, like some really smart guy that just doesn't apply himself. He's basically like doing a drug deal to like make money. But then something goes wrong and he realizes it mid-deal and in this hotel or whatever. So he like kind of escapes and then goes downstairs to try to hide from the police that are onto him. And he finds a lot of people that are dressed up in really nice suits. And he's like, okay, well, I'm just going to go over there because he had a suit on too to like blend in. And he like begs the receptionist, like, let me in for this interview because he realizes that they're doing interviews. And the receptionist, you know, her name is Donna and she's like really like, I don't know. She's kind of got a good relationship with Harvey, who the other main character is. Anyway, Harvey is the guy that's like interviewing for an associate, like as his lawyer assistant, I guess. And so yeah, he ends up like stumbling into this interview because the receptionist is like, I think this guy's interesting. I'm gonna let him in because he's like, you're not gonna believe me, but I'm running from the cops. And before that, Harvey was like, hey, the only people I want you to really let in are people that you think are interesting, Donna. So I'm going to trust you. So Donna lets him in. And lo and behold, this guy is like reciting basically all these things you need to know for the bar. And this law firm not only do you need to pass the bar to like be a lawyer, but this specific law firm only accepts people that went to Harvard too. So not only is he like a fraud, but he also like didn't go to Harvard. So basically that causes a lot of problems later on in the show, like trying to cover up the fact that he's a fraud, also didn't go to Harvard, how that affects everybody else. And Harvey Specter's the other main character who's like the best like closer they got. He's like the most ambitious lawyer. He's charming, you know, he gets all the pretty ladies, you know, he's got a lot of confidence. And then as the show goes on, you realize like the character flaws he has. And right now I'm like in the middle of like the character development. The thick of it. He's going through it right now. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting. I think they do a good job of interweaving a lot of different plot lines and stuff. And yeah, it's just a lot of good acting, pretty decent writing. I mean, there are, like I said earlier, it does get repetitive at some times. Some characters are actually kind of frustrating because you think that they make progress and then they regress again. So that can be a little frustrating, but overall, I'd say it's a solid like 8 out of 10 show that I would recommend watching. So,
nice. When did that show come out?
So it ran from 2011 to 2019.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So it's on Netflix.
I feel the whole really smart guy, not actually everything I say I am.
Yeah.
Was kind of popular like in the late 2000s, maybe early 2010s, like because you have that, you have Psych, because he was like super smart with what he observed around him, but he wasn't actually like a psychic like everyone thought he was. And I'm sure there's other shows out there, but
yeah, and there's actually a spin-off show.
that kind of fit?
Oh, that's what the hospital guy, right? The doctor. Or
Yeah,
whatever?
Dr. House.
Yeah, he was like a doctor, right? But he wasn't a fraud, was he?
No, but he's like super smart, but doesn't really apply himself too much.
yeah.
He's like doesn't take anything seriously. And,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a perfect
on,
example.
son.
There's like a lot of different, but
Yeah. So anyway, it's an interesting show. I would recommend it. It's on Netflix.
Nice.
Go watch it. So I think that'll
Splatflix.
Splitflix. That's not what it's called.
It's my new streaming platform.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that'll do it.
Yeah.
Then for the episode, this has been a lot of fun, and
Indeed.
it's good to see the news episode return.
Yes.
Return
I was excited.
of
I was
the
Me
excited.
too. I love preparing the news episodes and talking about them.
I just like ranting and raving.
Yeah,
I
we
like
got
to
a good
complain.
MCU rant. That's the second MCU rant in 2 episodes we've done.
And there will be more depending on how these next few movies go.
Please.
There will be more.
I hope Fantastic Four is good.
Or maybe it's a lot of praise. Maybe it's MCU praise.
There you go. Hopefully, crossing our fingers.
MCU hope, perchance.
Yeah, so you can follow us on YouTube, Instagram,
Spotify.
and Spotify, Apple.
Apple. Yep.
So those are our main things. Would appreciate it,
Wesley-
just comment, like, subscribe.
Yeah.
all
Wesley really wants an email, so you can email
that.
us.
Please email us.
You can email us at
Say
ontheslatepod@gmail.com.
Best pod ever. But you have to do a formal greeting. You have to be like, to whom it may concern.
Has to be 300 characters minimum.
Yes.
That's actually not.
Or
a
you
lot.
can leave an informal comment. We like comments too.
Jason really wants these comments going on the YouTube because what does it do, Jason?
It helps the algorithm.
the
there you go.
algorithm.
Algorithm? Al Gore, former presidential candidate?
Almost president of the United States. Came very close.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Florida was like, no, sir.
Yeah. Now we're a political science podcast now. So
Science? Bomb.
This has been the On the Slate Movie Podcast. I'm Wesley.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Asher.
Take care and God bless.